Welcome back. We got head coach Kyle Smithpeters, and we got his assistant, Coach John Clancy. So, welcome, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. I know you guys know BG really well. I'm gonna let him kind of take over a little bit, and we'll have some fun talking about Johnny Logan hoops.
Hey, John, before we get going, when he wakes up in the morning, does his hair always look that perfect?
It really does. It never moves.
It's weird.
He's a very handsome man.
I mean, this must take hours in the morning. It's either instantaneous or it takes forever. I don't know which it is. So
that's the inner Beyonce in you, Coach. You just woke up like that.
Well, can't hear you, Coach.
I think you might be on mute, Coach Smithpeters.
I was saying I give credit to my wife. She gets me ready every morning.
There you go.
I'll grow up one of these days.
I love it. So real quick, I'll just jump into let's just talk first, straight to the point. We had a player picked in the NBA draft, is now a part of the Clippers organization, from what I understand, came from you guys' program. Talk a little bit about him specifically real quick, if you don't mind.
Well, obviously it's big news and excited for Jay. I'm very quick to give Jay the credit because Jay is the one that did the work. He's the one that stayed in late, did the extra shooting, did the extra lifting, whatever it may be. And, granted, there's a few extra, gray hairs on the side of my head from Jay, but it's that's just part of the process of being a coach. We've all on this call been there, and we all know what we have to deal with at times. And there's as much mentoring and as much guidance as it is coaching on the floor. And, with Jay, I got to give him a lot of credit. The first time I met Jay and watched Jay was in practice. I made a list of just a bunch of different things in practice. He didn't do well. Coach says do 10 push-ups. He does 6. Touch the line, misses it by this much. And it was easy for him. He was disinterested because he was that much better. But I'll give him a lot of credit because I showed him this list of 30 things and just said, hey, here's what I noticed in practice. I went on my phone, but these are the things that we will get you better at. And we won't allow these shortcuts. And he looked at it and kind of smiled. I said, don't you want to read it all? And he said, no, I'm good. And he knew. And he wanted that accountability, though. And that's, the thing that was impressive to me about Jay was he came in, he worked extremely hard. And, there was some ups and downs, but he's 17 years old when he stepped foot on our campus. He's a young kid, but he did a good job of maturing and growing. And, we ended up winning 23 straight games at the end of the season. And I can't 23 of our 24. But, I think we were well on our way to having a great run at Hutch. So, like I said, you got to give him a lot of credit for putting that team on his back and doing what you would hope a pro would do and step up and be a pro.
Coach Clancy, what was he like to work with every day?
Well, it's an interesting situation. I was at Southern Illinois University when Jay got there, and then I was at Triton last year. So I wasn't able to coach him directly, but I kind of saw him when he came in. And then I actually came down when they were in the region tournament, watched their day of practice against getting ready for Wabash Valley and then ultimately Vincennes. And to see where that kid came from to where he finished up, it would have been scary if Logan was able to play at Hutch because I do think they were the hottest team in the country, and it was because Jay Scrub was locked in.
Coach Kyle, what would you say? What has the process been like for the NBA? Every kid wants to go to that level, right? And JUCO guys are no different than any other level. So what was it like, the process of being able to get those calls from NBA teams? Did you know he was going to be an NBA guy? Kind of talk about that a little bit, and then I'll pass it to BG.
Well, and it was interesting to see the business side of it. It's what you would expect in a $1 billion business. They do their work, they do their homework, they ask questions, and it's funny. It's kind of very cliche. No one asked me how well does he score the ball. No one asked me, really anything in that line. It was the simple question, or the questions you would, kind of shock you. Is he on time? Is he accountable? How does he treat your manager? A lot of, guys wanting phone numbers for your secretary, teachers, strength coach. Like I said, they invest. It's a $1 billion business. They want to invest millions of dollars in you. They're going to know every answer. We had one organization that had an ex-FBI agent as a background guy calling our police here. It's just, on campus, and I get a call from our chief of police on campus. Said, hey man, just got a call and want to know about Jess. Said, tell him whatever you want to tell him. He's shoot. You went and rebounded for him last night at 11 o'clock. Tell him he shot the ball well too. So. I think all those things that people think is very much a cliche, what they're asking is very much the truth. And that's what they want to know. They know they can play. That's why they're in the gym, and they want to know the other things. And, that was very good to see, because I think it resonates with, the truth and what our other guys need to hear. It's as much about being a hard worker, a good teammate, and everyday guy as it is being a talented guy. So I was very happy to see that process take place. And I talked to Brandon, quite a bit, who talks to a lot of NBA guys as well. And it was just, a very good experience for me to see quite a bit, just how that side of the business works.
I think any kids that end up listening to this or watching this or whatever, go back and listen to what he just said again, that when the NBA is calling, they're not asking how he comes off of a ball screen. They're asking how's he treat the manager? They're calling the local chief of police. Like, if you don't think that every interaction that you have with somebody matters at that level, you're crazy, because every interaction matters. If Jay sticks in the league, and let's say he's even just the 13th guy on the bench or something, the 13th guy on the bench better be the best dude on the team. Like, not as far as a player goes, but as a person, because in the NBA, you've got LeBron, you've got James Harden, you've got those guys, and then you've got everybody else. And the everybody else, they do not have one iota of space for you to not be a good person or a good teammate, because it's just the difference between the number 3 guy and the number 13 guy is not that big. Yeah. And so they're always looking for every little edge, every little angle for who the player is that we're going to keep on the roster. And so when Jay is able to have 100 different people called, and they're all able to give positive answers about him, you get drafted.
Yeah. And all honesty, kind of what Brandon is saying, and honestly, it's such a weird year because these guys couldn't watch Jay work out in person. That's one of the most impressive things, is to see him in person. And the Clippers, they had their front office came in twice to watch him before all the COVID stuff hit. They came in, I think, 7 times. I mean, every team in the NBA came in. The Clippers came in the most and had the most interest, and really was happy to see him up with the Clippers because they have a long-term plan. They're like, hey, we know he's good now. We want to see where he is when he's 24, 25. I liked that idea because they were, very upfront with the fact that we want to see Jay mature into a young man. Not necessarily, it'd be great if he can come and help us now, but we're willing to put in the time to make him good. And I thought that was very, heartwarming to me to see that. And honestly, it's anyone watching, any young prospect like Brandon talked about, they were most impressed with Jay's just overall being genuine, being honest. Yeah, he had some bumps in the road. He was openly talking about those, about how, didn't do this right, learned a lesson. Didn't do this right, learned a lesson. And this is why it made me better. And wasn't making excuses, wasn't beating around the bush. Just, he manned up to it. And just him coming across as that genuine person, which is what he is, a very honest person, was what I really thought propelled him in a lot of directions, and allowing him to be with such a good organization.
At what point, Coach, did you realize this kid has a chance to really play in the NBA? Not just play in the NBA, but actually get drafted? Because there's a difference. Yeah. There's a lot of guys that go a roundabout way, which is still a great way to get there. It's hard to get there, period. But to get drafted, I don't know if there's ever been a JUCO player get drafted directly from JUCO. Does anybody know the background on that?
Yeah, there's been 2.
Played with the last one, Dante Smith at Southeastern, 2004. He was actually my teammate when I was in junior college. And I'm not sure. Yeah, and there was one before that, actually a first rounder, I believe, Brandon. I can't think who it is, but he got drafted second. He was like second or third, 27, 28, somewhere in there. But, and it doesn't happen. It's just, and honestly, you look at it, these kids are, in junior college, typically 17, 18, 19, maybe 20 years old or younger. They're taking the junior college route, whether it be physically because they weren't developed, didn't have the options, or maybe because of an academic situation, transferred out from a Division I. So typically it's kind of a different stopping point as opposed to being a 5-star recruit or, being the guy that's ready to go to the league right then or right there. But like I said, it worked out well for Jay. That's what he wanted to do, is be in the NBA now. I think, from talking to several agents and several organizations, I think they very well knew, and Jay knew, I could go to Louisville and probably play here and be a top 20 pick, top 15 pick. Every, the 6, 7 different GMs I talked to all said Jay's a top 15 talent in the draft. It was a very interesting year with COVID, them not being able to watch him work out in person. But, like I said, give Jay a lot of credit. Give him all the credit. He's the one that, this is what he wanted to do. And once again, Jay put his mind to something and was able to accomplish it. And, just really looking forward and very excited to see, hopefully a very long career. And I mean, the crazy thing is he's the 5th player in the last, I think since 2000, 2001, that's, from our region that's, made it to the league. So it just speaks volumes for what our league is and the direction our league's going.
Absolutely. And it is kind of crazy to sit here and have this conversation, and we've got the John A. Logan gear on and the John A. Logan logo in the background, and we're talking about a kid drafted. Like, it's still just like you said, it doesn't happen very often. But
no, it doesn't. And credit to, honestly, credit to you and to the guys in your business. I mean, Brandon, you've done a great job of pushing guys and making, that exposure well known to junior college guys. I know. A lot of the other services have done a good job too of making it known. It's kind of been, and I don't want to use the word hidden gem because there's been guys drafted, but the access to junior college players is much better now. Because of guys like you and you guys pushing. So appreciate that and what you guys are doing for the junior college player and the junior college business.
Well, it's thank you, Coach. That's overstated, but the modern ability to see anybody anywhere, I think is so exciting in basketball, whether it's a kid in the middle of nowhere, Africa, or if it's somebody in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, right? And 15 years ago, that was hard. It doesn't seem like it really was not that long ago that it was difficult to even get to really see junior college players.
Yeah. And
now with people like Synergy and stuff like that you can see these guys, and there's really, really good basketball players out there. And now with some of these rule changes and stuff that are coming down the pike, I don't know, some people think that junior college is going to take a hit. I think there's going to be a bump in talent in junior college for sure, because some of these high school kids that maybe aren't getting the things that they thought they should or wanted or whatever are going to start looking at junior college as a good opportunity. And stories like Jaden Scrub are going to help with that narrative. And now you guys have, I think, the best front court in the country. And if we want to even get objective about it, well, then I don't know how close it really gets, because you've got Sydney Curry, who just committed to Kansas, and now Jamarian Sharp, who has committed to Western Kentucky. And those are 2 guys that are going to be on NBA radars at some point, or already are on NBA radars. I've, talked to different teams about both of them so far. So maybe let's start with Sydney, and maybe just talk a little bit about him. Like, we know who he is as a player. For anybody, listening to this or watching this that doesn't know about Sydney, just go search his name real quick on YouTube, and you're just going to see a guy that like punches people in the face and dunks on them. He's huge. He's fantastic. I love it. It's like the most athletic 260-pound beast I've ever seen. But talk to us a little bit just about who he is and the kind of work that he puts in, and the things that we talked about, with what interest NBA teams about kids like Sydney.
And I think, and I want Coach Clancy to speak here too, because he's, spent a lot of time with Sydney here lately. But I think it's one of those things of taking advantage of an opportunity. Sydney came in at his peak, he was 279, 280 last year at times. And it's funny watching film of him last year, move up and down the floor to where now he's at 252 and, just chiseled. I'd like to look like that with my shirt off. And it's not going to happen ever, but it's and he's such a good and humble kid, and he's done a great job academically. Sydney's GPA right now is like a 3.35. He came in as a non-qualifier academically, and it just goes to show when you can give a kid a standard, when you can give a kid that has some motivation, some confidence, and show him that it can be done. Like, schoolwork to Sydney now is easy. Like he said, he goes, Coach, I just do the work. He said, I just get it done. I get good grades. And it's like, yeah, you're right. It's just that easy, So it's a great approach. It's just, it's kind of like he approaches basketball. Coach, if I just jump in the air, I'm going to get the rebound and go dunk it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's no different. So, but he's such a good kid and such a hard worker. And what you see in games is what he really brings every day. He just gets the job done. And it's great for our environment, great for our culture here, because here's a guy that's got offers from everywhere in the country. Here's a guy that I think the big point of this took advantage of an opportunity that wasn't his by kind of being in the shadow of Jace Crow. A lot of NBA guys came in last year. Well, guess what? Hey, who's the 6'8.5", 270 guy that's putting his elbows in the rim? And that's how you get noticed. Yeah. And you'll take advantage of someone else's opportunity. And that's what Sidney did. And that's what Jamarion did. But, Sidney did such a good job of not just being satisfied with what he is, but, what he wants to be. And, I think that's what he is still not happy with where he's at. He still wants more, and he's very hungry with that.
Coach Clancy, when you work out with him on a day-to-day basis, what's different about him? I mean, we talk about like the size. Like, you're not supposed to be able to physically do the things he does at 200 and even 52 pounds, let alone 270 pounds. I mean, it's bonkers. But that aside, like, what is it about him and his work ethic when he's with you in the gym like that makes him special?
Yeah, the way the game's going, everybody wants to kind of be positionless. And Sidney has an emerging perimeter game, but Sidney knows where his bread's buttered, and that's on the interior. His physicality, along with his explosiveness, are things that are unmatched. Like, he loves contact. He has multiple efforts on every possession. He's the most relentless rebounder I've ever coached, and I've been able to train pros, guys getting ready for the NBA draft, and guys at the Division I level. And Sidney's willingness to know who he is and be that guy, and to be 6'8" and 255 and get off the ground like he does and be as explosive as far as quickness. But I think what you'll see this year, obviously he's going to rebound the basketball. He's going to run the floor. He's going to score on the block. But his face-up game's getting better. He's shooting free throws better. And that's a credit to the kid, because he's in the gym all the time, and he's a gym rat to the fullest thing. And we want everyday dudes, and that's the standard that Coach Kyle has kind of set at Logan. And Sidney exemplifies that as good as anybody. When you're best players, when you're hardest workers, you got a chance to be pretty special.
For sure. And, one of the things that I love about him, you talk about his humbleness and stuff, like, there's no hype train to Sidney, right? There absolutely could be. I think he's the number one player in the country this year, and he could not care less about any of that stuff. I sent out some tweets that people hated, the comparing players thing, right? It's this is the kind of guy if they make it to the NBA, this is the kind of guy that I think they would be like. Some of these dudes hated those comparisons. And he probably didn't love the comparison to Ben Wallace either, because Ben Wallace is a punch in the face, dunk on you, rebound, 6'8" guy. And like, that was it. But the dude made a lot of money in the league for like 12 years. Right. And what a lot of these guys don't really realize is when you get to the NBA, those 10 things that you do really well on the court, they're going to ask you to do 2 of them. Right. And if you try the third one, they're going to sit you on the bench. So, but he didn't say a word about it. I know he's got a face-up game. I know, what I saw in one of your scrimmages was he caught a little too far outside on the baseline towards the corner, and just how smooth he was getting to his position back in. He didn't panic. He didn't, just throw up a bad jumper or something like that. He worked his way in there, and his just touch around the rim has come up so far, which is not what you would describe Ben Wallace's game as when he was in the NBA. So the comparison was more along the lines of physicality and toughness and dunking and rebounding. But he didn't say a word about it.
No, he didn't say a word to us either. Just, even about recruitment, you didn't see him on Twitter or this and that, just lighting it up. He's a very, conservative type mentality. And I think you see that as a player. Like, I think he made a great point. He does what he does well, and he doesn't venture away from that, because he's okay being coached. He's okay doing those. Now he'll come in. It's like last night, he calls me at 11:45, hey coach, can you see if we can get the gym open? Like, yeah, sure, man. Sorry, did I wake you up? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm great. 2 kids. So, man, we're good. But, that's it. And I mean, you love that mentality as a coach. You feel like you're accomplishing a lot. And, when he sets that standard for everybody, like, don't go out here and work on a step back as a guard. Hey, be a Sidney Curry. You know what? Do what you do well. If our best player's doing those things, then that's what you should do as a guard. That's what you should do as a forward. And he really does a good job of setting that standard for our whole program.
Yeah. I mean, the guys that are interested in the right stuff. The guys that, they don't care about the hype. They don't care about whatever. Chris Payton over there in Indian Hills is very similar. That same attitude of just, hey, I'm going to go do my thing and I'm going to go work hard. And
I mean, sorry to interrupt, Brandon, but you got to give Hank a lot of credit Coach Clancy is familiar with Chris and his situation. And, Hank has done an unbelievable job with Chris Payton and getting him to buy in to be the player that he is.
Right. Yeah.
I've been impressed. And we scrimmaged, and I even said something to Chris after the game, said, hey, man, I'm proud of you because, where you're at now is extremely impressive.
How many guys like Chris are willing to buy into that role of being that like power forward, like how many guys say, Coach, I'm a 2'3" when they're his size. And it's like,
no, and you're right, Brandon, and it's a credit to Chris, and it's a credit, like I said, no different than Sydney. They do what they do well, and they stick with it, and they listen, and they're coached, and they're not trying to step out there and, convince somebody there's something they're not.
Right.
You see so much of that with guys that could be really good players that, no, I want to be a point guard, or I want to be a big wing, or, just listen and be coached and play hard. And
I'm guessing Sydney hasn't come up to you this year and said, Coach, I got to get 4 threes up a game. I got to get 4 because that's what the league's looking for, Coach. So I got to get 4 threes up a game. I bet he didn't ask.
Not had that conversation yet. No, you're right.
I hope I didn't just put it on the head. Sydney, if you're listening to this, don't ask that question. Okay. Let's switch gears real quick over to Jamarian. We've talked a lot about him, and he's just like Sydney in a different way, physically something that you just don't ever see. Well, no, you do in the NBA. There's a few of those guys running around, but another kid that you and I talked about extensively this summer with his humbleness, and I feel like he's one of those kinds of kids where when somebody really starts talking a lot about him and starts creating this hype, like he kind of looks the other way a little bit, and I know how much work he's put in, just because when you send me videos or pictures or whatever, and like every week it's something different, it's something better. He's physically bigger, he's in the weight room, he's putting on weight, for a body type that is really hard to do that. Yeah. And talk a little bit about kind of where he started when he got to John A. Logan and kind of where he's at now.
He's a kid that averaged 7 points a game in high school and 7, but he's 7 feet in high school, 7'1". He's chasing around a bunch of guards. You could see that, and how I judge a bigger was taught, and I had some very good coaches that I'd worked for and got to play for that taught me a lot of things. But if you can catch the ball and you have good footwork, you can work with that. And that's the one thing that stuck out with Jamarian. His hands are very soft. His footwork is very good, and he runs the floor extremely well. His timing in blocking shots is second to none. It's natural. But his offensive game, his offensive game is really coming around, and he's a young kid. He just turned 19 last month. So, he measured in 7'3", standing reach at 9 feet 6 inches. He's up to 230 plus pounds, 232, I think, our last measure, in the weight room. But in the same thing, I think that's really good, because here's another guy that can use Jay Scrubb's, being Jay Scrubb's shadow, but yet compete against Sidney Curry every single day. And those guys have no option but to go hard, because guess what? Sidney Curry will embarrass you if you don't go hard.
Yeah.
Jamarian Sharp is going to embarrass you if you don't go hard. And so, you take that component, and then you've got a guard step out on a ball screen against a Mario McKinney, or, a Cam Alford, or, a Dietrich Reeves. And you got a mix here where these guys can continually get better and not take days off. And Jamarian has gotten much better at that, because he is a very much a happy-go-lucky kid, and one of the best and biggest hearts of any kid I've ever had in a program. Just wanting everyone to be happy and be successful.
Yeah.
Very selfless. And I think that's an unbelievable trait for now a 19-year-old kid to have, and not have his hand out saying, what can you do for me? But, he's come a long way, and is very proud and very excited to watch, what he's going to be able to do this upcoming season.
I mean, it's easy to be attracted to 7'2". It's easy to be attracted to 6'8", 260 pounds and jumping around like you're Zion Williamson or something. But I think the thing that really attracted me the most to just, wanting to know more about them, to watch them, to talk to coaches about them and things like that is just, unfortunately we didn't get to have JA this summer. So I didn't get to spend any time with them just one-on-one, but talking to you guys about them. And, there was never a conversation where it was like, you won't believe what he did today. You won't, can't believe what this kid said. Like, we're close enough that when kids have problems or whatever, we talk about them because it's important in the recruiting process and stuff. And like these two guys, just the absolute humbleness. You don't see them out on social media. You don't see them talking about themselves and things like that. And you see that, and instantly you just kind of have that light that goes on that goes, those kids have a chance. Both of those guys absolutely have a chance to, and we talk about the NBA on here because you just had a kid drafted straight into the flipping NBA, but we also know that at the end of the day, the NBA is not going to be the end game for 99.999% of kids. But these two guys, because of what they have physically, and then the fact that they are who they are, they got a chance. And that's pretty special to have your front court. You look at it and, there's going to be some NBA scouts in the gym this year that are going to look at each other and go, they got both these guys on the floor.
We
honestly, don't have guys that look like that.
and honestly, Brandon, our guys are very, very lucky. We got a great administration, a great AD, and even more importantly, I got a great staff. I'm very fortunate. I mean, John, what a great addition. How lucky is that? My brother Tyler's, done an unbelievable job. Coach Jones, Charlie's been with us for, been with me since day one, and Marcus Walker, but who's done an outstanding job with the guys. Like, it's funny.
I forgot Marcus was up there.
Yeah, you get a call. It's funny. I get a call from Coach Self last week. Week before, and he's complimenting my staff. He's like, my goodness. He said, Kyle, for a junior college, he goes, for your guys and what they do and what they, how they help these kids. And I told him, I'm spoiled. I'm very lucky to have a great staff around me that are great people and, are concerned with the well-being of these kids. And it shows. And that's, like I said, the Jamarion and Sydney are extremely lucky because I think that's visually seen when these kids come in here to Johnny Logan and see how much people care because, these guys are in the gym with them. They're in study tables. They're in all these things to help them in their future. And, that's been really what our success has been about was just these adults helping these young men grow and thrive, for the future.
Absolutely. Well, it's a testament to you guys, to the work that you've done there, with them on the court and things like that, but absolutely a testament to recruiting guys that, just get it mentally, because it would be so easy to go sideways, when you have those kinds of physical gifts, when you have kind of that future in front of you. Like if you don't get the right kind of kid, that has those gifts. I mean, we see it all the time. How many kids do we see that we're just like, oh my God, can you believe how good this kid is? And he has zero chance of making it. And it would be so easy to do. So, the real testament to recruiting the right kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking about that, we'll go to Coach Clancy next and just tell a little bit about your story and just we're kind of in this JUCO appreciation month, right? You've been at different levels. You've been at Division I level. So talk a little bit about why you love JUCO and then Coach Smithpeters. I know you've won 194 games to 64 losses, I believe, in 7 or 8 years. I think that may be before, according to bio. So if I'm wrong, you can talk to your people because that's what it says on the bio. But I know you guys had a big time year last year as well. Obviously, been talking about Jay. Just talk after Coach Clancy goes just about your JUCO experience. I know we talked on the phone some. You were Division I. You've been at that light. That level. But what makes junior college great? So we'll start with Coach Clancy.
My past kind of unique, a little bit different. I was a high school coach in Chicagoland area, and then went right from high school to getting an opportunity at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Was very fortunate to be there for 4 years, and then the job market changes. The business can be rough sometimes. Didn't have a lot going on. Got some interviews at the Division I level, and was fortunate that Steve Christensen, a good friend of mine at Triton Junior College, hired me last year We had a great year there, sent 6 guys Division I, finished top 20 in the country. And then I've known Coach Kyle. I had the fortune to coach Tyler Smithpeters, his brother, who's on staff with us, and my roommate, and got to know the family, got to be around his program, loved everything that Coach Kyle was about and what he was building at Logan. And for me, it was a no-brainer decision when Coach offered me the job. For me, it's been easy. Coach did all the hard work laying the foundation for this. We're kind of reaping the benefits of what were, the early years of recruiting some guys and making John A. Logan not only a powerhouse in the Midwest, but being a contender to win a national championship every single year. And I think when you talk about the blue blood programs, John A. Logan may not have been talked about that, but it's obviously, I think, in the conversation now. I do think we're a top 5 preseason team, and the junior college level is different. Obviously everybody has different aspirations. These kids come in hungry, and there's a different level of hunger that the junior college kids have than maybe some of my kids that I had at SIU at a Division I level. But, the big time thing about here at Logan is Coach Kyle treats it like a Division I program. He prepares these guys for the next level as good as anybody in the country does. And I think that's why guys leave here with the tools to be successful, not only at their next stop, but then ultimately there's guys playing overseas now. And Coach gets these guys to go to the right levels and the right fits for them. And he develops them. He develops them as people. He develops them as players. And I think you see why guys come in maybe as low to mid kids that like a Sidney Curry or a Jamarion Sharp that are leaving as high major dudes because of the standard that's set here and the foundation that he has set here.
Well, I will say this, Coach Clancy is a little modest and saying, the one thing that impressed me, I was very fortunate to be at Logan in my career and watch all my brothers, and, Tyler enjoy his career at SIU being 6 miles away. But, the big thing with Coach Clancy that stuck out was just how genuine he was in coaching and dealing with, not just my brother, but all of his guys over at, SIU. So I had a very good cheat sheet in watching him as a coach and just seeing how much, TLCs you would say that he put into his guys, and he cared for the right reasons and helping them through tough situations. And, like I say all the time, it's one thing to be a coach when things are good with a player, but how do you handle it when things aren't going well? How do you handle a guy and get him out of the trenches? And, John did such a good job, I thought, just watching even with Tyler and his teammates at Southern. So, kudos to him. And like I said, we're just fortunate to have him and guys like him here. So, but, to go back to answering what you were talking about, in my career and here at John A., I think it's very important to be somewhere that what you're doing is important. You want to be challenged, but I also think, in my career, I was very fortunate to be here at John A. Logan as an assistant before and get to know teachers and administrators. And obviously it saw what this place could possibly be. And going to, and one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make was leaving Missouri State as an assistant at 28, 29 years old and coming back to John A. But, it was not just the welcoming part, but just the hunger of knowing that this thing could be special. We could get a lot of really good kids that are going some other places. And you're 28, 29 years old, not many head coaching jobs just thrown in your lap, especially a place you're familiar with and comfortable with. And, that's really what has propelled me in the junior college realm. And honestly, I really enjoy it. You can help a lot of kids that need help. It's very gratifying at this level. And, guys like Brandon and, Brendan Walker, guys like, they really truly care about these kids and trying to help them and guide them and give them direction. And that's what a lot of these kids just kind of need, is just that little bit more of direction. And that's really what you get as a junior college coach, in my opinion. I'm not saying you don't get that at the Division I level, but I think here with the resources you have, the type of engagements you have to have, it's a little different. And it's very rewarding seeing these guys that maybe have been checked off the list or not given that, or given that second chance, right, respond and be productive and be, not just great citizens, great ball players and everything else. So that's the part that I truly enjoy and have really grown fond of in the junior college game. And it's, like I said, I'm in a great spot. It's hard to get away when you're happy.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on today. We're praying and hoping that the JUCO season happens in January. Congratulations again on the amazing success you guys have had. I think Coach Clancy put it best. I mean, when I was coaching in junior college at Midland and Parrish, Johnny Logan was not quite at the same level that it's at now. But to be considered in that conversation of blue bloods for junior college is a credit to what you've done there, Coach Kyle. Coach Peters, what you've done there. And Coach Clancy, I know you're adding a lot to it with what you're doing behind the scenes with this new group and bringing your experience. So looking forward to seeing what you guys continue to do. Congrats on your guys committing and signing early, and along with getting a draft pick. It's still unbelievable to think about. In 2020, we have an NBA draft pick from Johnny Logan. So credit to you guys.
We appreciate you and everything you guys do for junior college basketball. It's big time. Please subscribe. Please follow. These guys are good dudes and they're in it for the right reasons.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you guys both. And hey, Brandon, I was going to tell you just another JUCO thing. One of our guys, not to toot our own horn, but Aaron Adewi, who played for us, went to SEMO. He active roster on Wednesday for the Baltimore Ravens as a DN. So
Wow. Here we go.
Got one in the NFL, man.
NBA, I love it.
It's fantastic.
I had to throw that in there.
Awesome.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate you guys.
Happy
All right, be
holidays.
good.
Same to you.